Hello, everyone. I'm Ryan from Fireside Yankees, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about Miguel Andujar, someone that a lot of people point to as someone to keep on the roster and take roster spots or at bats from Joey Gallo, or Aaron Hicks, or whatever outfielder, left fielder is on the Yankees starting at any point in time. And while Gallo has definitely struggled this year, and Hicks has also been a below average hitter, both those guys, I mean, they have not been the answer at left field. And this is like, I think when people hear a criticism of Miguel Andujar, they see it as a way to say that Gallo and Hicks have not struggled, when that couldn't be further from the truth. These guys, those two guys have struggled, and those two guys cannot start in October if the Yankees want to put themselves in the best position to win a World Series. However, Miguel Andujar is even worse than those two. And that's kind of what we're talking about here. And Andujar's really not ready to contribute for the Yankees at the major league level, and I'm starting to think he never will be. This is a guy who is 27 years old at the time of recording. He's not young anymore in terms of prospect. Like, he's not a prospect anymore. He's not a top prospect. He's not a guy with a remarkable hit tool. He's not a guy that generates a lot of value on the trade market. He is a guy who is very much on his last legs, not really sure what he'll be at this point. If you look at his numbers on the season, they're very, very, very unimpressive. He has a 57 WRC plus, which is somehow worse than Gallows and Hicks. Gallows at an 80, Hicks is at a 93. That means that Andujar is almost 50% worse than the average major league hitter, while Gallows 20% worse and Hicks is 7% worse. So instead of me telling you that Miguel Andujar has been bad this year and using that as a reason to say he isn't a good major league player, because I can understand where the problems would be there, right? That's 52 plate appearances, that's 14 games. I completely get it. Let's open up the sample size to his last 92 games played, starting from 2019, because that's when he got injured and that's when things changed for him power-wise, where he really hasn't been able to make the same quality of contact at the major league level that he did at in 2018. In that time span, he's a 58 WRC plus, so again, 42% worse than the average major league hitter on that time span. A negative 1.6 F4, a negative 2.72 win probability added. He's slashing 231, 252 with a 286 slugging percentage. That is putrid. That is disgusting. That's really, really bad. And he's 9 for his last 69 plate appearances, or 9 for his last 69 in terms of at bats with runners in scoring position, and in total has a negative 22 weighted runs created plus with runners in scoring position in that time span. So again, I really don't see the value with Miguel Andujar here. This is a guy who has a very high chase rate. His walk rate is consistently under 5%. While he does make a lot of contact, his quality of contact is not very good. He doesn't generate a lot of barrels. His exit velocity has remained under 88 miles per hour consistently. His exit velocity is very similar to a guy like Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Well, he did reach 110.2 mile per hour batted ball last year, which is pretty high max exit velocity. The hard hit rate of 34%, the fact that he hits so many ground balls, he doesn't hit many line drives. In 2018, what he excelled at was he was able to hit a lot of fly balls and line drives. He only had a 44% ground ball rate, 20% line drive rate. He has not excelled at that this year or at any point in time since 2018. He's only had 15.4% of his batted balls go for line drives, almost 49% of them for ground balls, 35.9% of them for fly balls. He's just not the same caliber of, hitterish kind of hitter, guy who can hit 30, 40 doubles in a season. He's going to slash a bunch of line drives. I really don't think the problem here is that he doesn't walk. The problem here is that he doesn't walk and he doesn't generate power and he doesn't hit line drives and he just doesn't have any redeemable qualities at the plate. Yes, he makes a lot of contact, but he doesn't even see a lot of pitches at bats. So really, what's the value in having a lot of contact if you're not pulling the ball? You're trying to hit it the other way, but you can't really hit it the other way. You're just kind of chopping it up the middle, hitting fly balls up the middle. People talk about Andujar, his contact skills, how those are better at bats than Gallows. But, I really don't see how you can argue that those are good at bats, right? Those are really bad at bats. When we have, 3 to 4 pitch at bats, we can't work walks, we can't hit the ball hard, right? Those are bad qualities, bad traits in a hitter. Those are really 3 great things to look at when you're analyzing a hitter. Their ability to generate power, right, and hit for power, their ability to draw walks, work the strike zone, and their ability to see a lot of pitches, right? So if you have those 3 things going for you consistently in at bats over a full season, you're going to have a really good and your stats are going to look really good at the end of the year, right? There are very few guys who do all 3 of those things and aren't good hitters. And those few guys, they really had like one or two bad seasons here or there, but they overall in their career, they have pretty good slash lines. And Duhar doesn't have those redeemable qualities. He was a unique hitter in the sense that no, he didn't see a lot of pitches, but he did have pretty good power. And you know, he was able to be a guy who could hit 20 plus home runs and hit 20 plus, 30 plus doubles. And he was going to slug over 500, and that was going to be his value right there. And he has gotten better defensively in left field. Don't get me wrong, but you know, position changes that you know, that's because of his own fault, right? That's not the Yankees, you know, really screwed him over. He's a bad defender, right? He was an awful defender at third base, unplayable. He got better defensively in left field over time, but it really it isn't anyone else's fault but his own in terms of his inability to play third base. You know, this is a guy who, you know, injuries did derail him a bit, and I think that's kind of the big catalyst for his offensive drop off. I think the defense, you know, he was just always a bad defender. I think most people knew that. But for the offense, right, like that's more of an injury thing, right? The power declined dramatically, and I don't see how you can see him as a quality major league player, or someone who can contribute at the major league level. This is a guy who objectively has worse stats offensively than Joey Gallo, which isn't a compliment to Gallo. That's more of a detriment to Andujar's offensive performance. This is a guy who's been 42% worse than the average major league hitter over his last 92 games. You know, if we want to bank on 2018 and bank on 2018, bank on 2018, why don't we do the same for guys like Hicks, his 2020, where he had like a 123 WRC plus, and had like a 400 on base, right? Why don't I just bank on Gallo's 2021? Right, when he was with Texas, because that doesn't make sense, right? Like those are they have dramatic changes. Gallo's chasing way more as a Yankee. He's hitting for less power. Hicks is not hitting for nearly as much power as he did in 18, 19, and 20. There are clear signs of regression, things that Andujar can't do now that he did in 2018 that has made him a worse hitter and a worse player by a far margin. It's a far cry from those days in 2018. And that's really the reality of the situation. This is more of an example of player is new and we just want a new name in the lineup, but this isn't the answer. If you want to say Florial, I think Florial can definitely contribute at the major league level. You know, he's having a strong AAA season and he's younger, and he has tools that I can actually, you know, look at and say, okay, this might be a good major league player. He does have very good power, very good base running, and a great defender in center field. But Andujar he's not ready. So with that being said, let me know what you guys think. I'm Ryan from Fireside Yankees. I appreciate you guys checking out our content. You guys know, check us out on our Instagram, Facebook, and our Twitter. And of course, you guys know, check out Empire Sports Media for all your New York sports content. We appreciate you guys so much. Peace out.